Some heavy hitters take charge on the dirt tracks this weekend. The 816 is number 1 on night 1 at the Ridge. We take the white flag with a driver making a name for herself in the sprint car world. Don't flip out. Race Pro
Hey, this is my show. I've done that intro before. This is Race Pro Weekly. Yeah, that's good. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Last weekend, Kenny Tremont took the opening night victory by storm in dominating fashion. Would Tremont be able to do it again? Rare appearance for the 816 of Jeff Rockefeller on the high banks as Andy Bacchetti would lead the field to the green in the 30-lap modified feature, the first point race of the season, as Kenny Tremont would make his way up through the field in that number 115, looking to go back-to-back in the early going. Brett Hearn, of course, on the move as he would push to the inside of Wayne Jelly for the position. He cracked the top 5 very early in this event, as now Hearn would go to the inside of Hefner easily to take that spot away. Caution would come out for the 43 of Keith Flack up in turn number 1. A lot of front-end damage on the Gould Erectors and Riggers car number 43 machine. Kenny Tremont takes off like a rocket on the backstretch off the restart as he gets by Eddie Marshall for the number 2 spot. Brett Hearn would follow, getting by Marshall as he takes spot number 3 away. Now Tremont going to work on Andy Bacchetti as he would dive into the inside into turn number 3 and 4, and he would be your new race leader, but Brett Hearn would follow right through, ladies and gentlemen, and the cat and mouse game was on. Tremont and Hearn side by side, coming down the front straightaway for the race lead as they split Denny Soltis, heading up into turn number 1 and 2, and Tremont was just a little bit faster at that time. Then Hearn would get a bit on the inside, looking to pass him, and it looked like he just might have him, but Tremont just too strong. They collide off at turn number 4, and Tremont would still have the position. Tremont would get him right back on the outside and take the lead for good as Kenny Tremont back-to-back at the Valley of Speed.
I'm building some confidence in the car, and the guys really did a great job with the car. But when you build confidence, you can drive it harder and harder, so yeah, we always got something we can work on to try to make it better, but at least we're starting off on a good foot.
Tremont would grab his second of the season. Brett Hearn would finish in the number 2 spot. Third would be the 98 of Eddie Marshall. Fourth, Andy Bacchetti, and J.R. Hefner would round out your top 5. Last weekend, Billy Decker took the victory in the Super Dirt Car Series High Bank Holdup. Would it be time as the points started for him to try to strike one more time? Heading to the Fulton Speedway, sportsman action first as Ron Davis would hit an Implement tire, stands right in the speedway, gets tagged, and oh boy, what a wreck on the backstretch. Tyler Meeks would end up picking up the win in that feature. Now to the modifieds where Tim Sears Jr. would take the early race lead, but the doctor, Danny Johnson, would move to the outside as Jimmy Phelps tried to make it 3 wide in the early going, as Johnson would be your leader. Jimmy Phelps would look to push as he would get a great run down the back straightaway and it would go side by side with Danny Johnson for the position, as now Phelps would try to push to the inside once again as they would continue to run side by side. Enter into the picture now Lightning Larry White as he would get into the 83 of Tim Sears, spinning him in turn number 4, as that would set up a great 3-car battle as Larry White trying to find some power on the outside lane. Billy Decker in there as well on the inside, as now White will come to the outside and Danny Johnson might not have known he was there as they made contact. White tries to continue his momentum to the outside as Decker takes the lead for the time being, and then Johnson slides up in front of him. Danny Johnson would assume the lead back again, getting around Decker, and ladies and gentlemen, you can say it, Dr. Fulton house call as Danny Johnson grabs the win.
Larry got a good run on me on the top, and I didn't expect him there, and we made a little contact, and luckily everybody was able to keep going, I think, and I don't know how I was able to maintain the lead, to be honest with you, but here we are, and it's it ended up being a great race.
Johnson would grab the victory. Billy Decker would finish in second. Jimmy Phelps would come home in third. Fourth would be Pat Ward, and Tom Sears Jr. would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, as we mentioned before, Tyler Meeks would grab the win in the Sportsman, Alan Fink in the late models, Shannon Pitcher in the novice Sportsman, and the 4 cylinders would go to Tim Dunn. The Glen Ridge Motorsports Park back under control of Pete Demitrazic for the 2015 season, with Bobby Varon lurking to try to start off for a title defense once again. Would he be the one to take home victory lane on opening night? Jeff Rockefeller and the 53 of Bobby Vetter would lead the field to the green at the Glen Ridge Motorsports Park, as it will be Rockefeller with the early lead as Jeremy Wilder looks to move to the inside of Vetter for the position. He'll take the number 2 spot away. Two-time and defending champion Bobby Varon looking to make his way up through the field. He'll get by Vetter to crack the top 5 in the early going in this one, as cars will continue to ride as Vetter gets way up to the top side, losing a little bit of control for the time being. Meanwhile, Jeff Rockefeller will be way out in front in the 816 machine, but the caution will come out for Jeremy Wilder, who was running in the number 2 spot at the time. Off of the restart, Bobby Varon to the inside, Willie Decker to the outside, as they look to see who could get by him, as Varon would push into the number 2 spot, trying to get by the 816. Varon would give him everything he could handle, pulling up even with him out of turn number 2 and into turn number 3 and 4, but Rockefeller still just a little too strong. The 00 trying to get by him one more time, but this would all be behind the 816 as Jeff Rockefeller takes the opening night win at Glen Ridge. Jeff Rockefeller grabbing the victory. Bobby Varon would finish in second. Willie Decker would come home in third. Bobby Vetter fourth, and Richie Price would round out the top 5.
Can you golf? Mike Warren can't, but he wanted to be on the team this year, so we can use all the help we can get.
Hey now!
You and a friend can make our team better. Email us at show@raceproweekly.com, and you never know, you might be joining us at the Mohawk River Country Club on May 14th. Coming up on Race Pro Weekly, we head to Albany-Saratoga for some hot modified action. Also, we check in at the D-shaped Dirt Demon for their season opener. Could 2014 track champion Matt Shepard start the season off with a win? Find out next on Race Pro Weekly.
Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered.
You wanted the best? They're coming for Brest. It's the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. The premier winged warriors battle it out. The World of Outlaw Superstars. It's the greatest show on dirt. The World of Outlaw Sprint Cars return to Weed Sports Speedway for the Empire State Challenge. The Dirt Car Big Block Modifieds will also join the party. Advanced reserve tickets include a free fan pit pass. Get your tickets now at worldofoutlaws.com. This is one blockbuster event you don't want to miss. Sunday, May 17th. Weed Sports Speedway, the greatest show on dirt.
There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. On opening night, Brett Hearn had a rare DNF as Larry White took home the feature event victory. In race number 2 of the 2015 season, would it be time for the jet to fly? Ryan Carabin taking a nonchalant walk into the infield as the modified feature will get started at Albany-Saratoga, with Alex Bell being the driver to lead them to the green flag as they headed up into turn number 1 and 2. Wouldn't be long before the Morris Auto Group car number 3 of Mark Kozlowski would take the lead, and the first caution would ensue. Brian Gleason, Neil Stratton, Bobby Hackle, and Brian Whittemore involved. Off the restart, it would be Alex Bell assuming control once again, but Kozlowski would be hounding him as cars would be on the move, including the number 20 of Brett Hearn, who was the DNF from the opening night feature event, looking to score a victory lane trip. Meanwhile, Kozlowski would take the race lead on Alex Bell, and Bell would go around, bringing out the caution. Somehow, someway, nobody hit him. Off the restart, the 20 of Brett Hearn will go Splitsville between Matt Depew and the 7 of Don Ronca as they come up into turn number 1 and 2, and Hearn would be in the top 5. He'd move to the outside of Rich Galata to take the number 2 spot away and then go to work on Mark Kozlowski. But before he could do that, Kenny Tremont would be there as they would race side by side, make a little bit of contact through the corner that time, and then Tremont would look to go underneath and they'd make contact again, stopping Tremont's momentum. That would give Hearn the shot he needed to get up towards the front once again, so he would move to the inside of Kozlowski and take the race lead away, sliding up in front of him. Keselowski had some pressure to feel right away, though, as Tremont would slide back to the inside of him. They'd make a little bit of contact coming down the front straightaway as Tremont would get in front of him. But as you can expect, it would be all behind the Jersey Jet as Brett Hearn gets win number 1 at the Great Race Place.
Track's still really lumpy, and it's not really where it usually is. So we're still in that car working really hard to get what we got, and I can't say we're really where we want to be, but I drove my butt off tonight and got this thing to the front.
Brett Hearn picks up the victory. Kenny Tremont would finish in second, Ronnie Johnson third, Mark Keselowski fourth, and Brett Wright would round out the top 5. Toby, there's a mud pit there, buddy. Be careful. Green flag coming out for the big block modified feature at the Fonda Speedway as Corey Wilder would take the early advantage in that number 21 machine. A lot of cars racing for position. The early going is a good 4-car battle between Justin Bowler, Jeremy Wilder, Bobby Varon, and Vinny Sanginetti for the spot, as Bowler would hold up for the time being. But it wouldn't be too long till the Dover Break 00 absolutely smokes the 21K of Wilder on the outside lane as he would take the race lead. Just one thing to mention, that Stuart Friesen guy's back this week as he goes to the inside of Brian Gleason and Jeremy Wilder, and it wouldn't be long as Friesen on the inside at Fonda is about as smooth as the butter on your morning bagel as he drives by Varon and takes the race lead away. The Tab Park's own machine would have to deal with Varon, though, through lap traffic as they continued to wheel and deal for the position as Friesen will continue to hold on. Friesen goes right by Alton Palmer as Varon tries to follow him in a cat-and-mouse game at the late going of this feature. Meanwhile, Josh Hohenforce would move to the outside of Jeremy Wilder into the top 5 as he would be on the move, but it would all be behind Stuart Friesen as he gets win number 2 at the Track of Champions.
A great race car. I didn't think we were going to get Bobby, and traffic definitely hurt him there, and we were played into our favor, though we were able to sneak by there. And wasn't our favor tonight. If we didn't have that traffic, I think he was checked out. So.
The Canadian sensation strikes again with the second victory of the season. Bobby Varon would finish in second, Josh Hohenforce third, Jeremy Wilder fourth, and Danny Varon would round out the top 5. The modified opener at the D-shaped Dirt Demon would see Tim Sears Jr. and the 9 of Matt Shepard lead the field to the green, and Super Matt going to go to work on the outside lane as Shepard would have the advantage in the early going of this feature event. Jimmy Phelps going to try to work to the inside of Tim Sears Jr. as Larry White going to make his presence known, makes a little bit of contact with the wall and Jimmy Phelps, and he would slow as he would have to pull pit side in that 99L machine. This would go back to Matt Shepard leading this one as he would pick up the opening night win at the Brewerton Speedway. We now head to the Sportsman Division as early Todd Root would have the advantage, but the Page truck in car number 1 of Dave Marcachilli would be hounding him down on the outside lane as Marcachilli would go to the front through lap traffic, and that would be all she wrote as Dave Marcachilli would grab the opening night win in the Sportsman Division at the Brewerton Speedway. So Dave Marcachilli would grab the victory. Ron Davis would finish in second. Greg Kimball would be third. Earl Rudy fourth. And Alan Fink would round out the top 5. Back to the modified feature we showed you earlier. Matt Shepard would grab the win. Jimmy Phelps would finish in second. Billy Decker third. Tim Sears Jr. fourth. And Ryan Phelps would finish in fifth. Joe Isabel would grab the wins in the mod lights. And Chuck Bowalczyk would grab the win in the 4 cylinders.
It's now time for this week's Facebook fan poll question. What is your favorite night to head to the racetrack? Is it Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Log on to our Facebook page at facebook.com/RaceProWeekly to cast your answers, and answers will be read on next week's show. Let's take a look at last week's question, which was, what is your favorite memory at the mile at Syracuse? Here are some of the answers that we got. Jamie Orban said, Barefoot Bob McCready winning in 1986. Jeff Shields said, The Ghetto. Renee Kaczynski said, being on pit lane completing a pit stop, pushing Bobby Chalmers after he ran out of fuel. Michael Dopp said, Alan Johnson's winning after starting last. Can't remember the year. I think that would be 1989. And Matthew DeJaneiro said, when I went last year and saw the mile for the first time. I think it's safe to say we can all remember our first trip to the mile. When we come back, we head to Lebanon Valley for the wild season opening race of the 358 mods, right here on Race Pro Weekly.
Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win. Some of the music you've heard on Race Pro Weekly this week is by AJ Jansen, Country's Rebel Rose, bringing you a mixture of high-energy rock and sultry country roots. To hear more and for your free download, check out ajjansenmusic.com. As we head back to the Lebanon Valley Speedway, opening night for the 358 Modifieds would be on the horizon. Who would be the one to strike first? Before we get to the small blocks 3-car battle for the race lead as contact sends Paul LaRochelle around, Jake Corbin would end up picking up the victory despite the front end damage in that event. The opening night race for the small block modifieds at the Lebanon Valley Speedway would see the H. Salisville Construction car number 83 of Chad Pierce leading in the early going. Shane Jablonka will be on the move, Tyler Dipple there as well, along with Frank Harper and Brett the Threat Haas in the top 5 in the early going of this event, as Horde would push to the inside trying to get past the 83 machine through the west end. Caution will come out for Wayne Jelly and Lee Gagliardi as they would bunch back up. Timothy Davis would have a scrape with the outside retaining wall in turn number 1 and 2. Then Tyler Dipple would get into Frank Harper, sending a number of cars behind him colliding in turn number 4, and Peter Carlotto ending up on his side. He would, however, flip the car back down and drive it away in that Ron Getchell Carpentry car number 12C machine as he would get it back going. Off of the restart now, Frank Horde gets a great restart, trying to get to the inside of Chad Pierce, and then he would move to the inside and pull what we like to call on Race Pro Weekly the electric slide job, as he would take the race lead away. Tyler Dipple and Kenny Tremont running for position as Brett Haas would do everything he can to get by Pierce per second, but it was all behind Horde as Frank Horde III picks up the win. Horde would grab the opening night victory. Chad Pierce would finish in second, Brett Haas third, Kenny Tremont fourth, and Olden Dwyer would round out the top 5. Other winners, as you saw before, Jay Corbin picked up the win in the Pro Stocks. Gary O'Brien would win the Street Stocks. Ed Hatch would take home the Pure Stock Clash, and your 3 Pure Stock winners, Dave Stickles, Ed Hatch, and Al Relier. We head back to the Fonda Speedway for the Pro Stock Elimination Race. Cousin Luke Horning and the 27 of Nick Stone side by side, and it would be Horning that would pick up the victory in that event. That was a lot of fun. Now to the feature event for the Pro Stocks as Jay Casey in the 322 would take the early race lead in the event. Cousin Luke would look to continue his momentum in that 2H machine as Horning tries to go to the inside of Jay Casey for the race lead as they're side by side with Kenny Gates lurking right behind him. Casey will continue to lead this one as now a lot of cars starting to make their way into the fray, including the 7 of Jim Normoyle, as he would look to try to split Horning and Gates for that number 2 spot. Now Horning would go to the inside. Here comes Nick Stone getting involved in this one. Chucky Domblewski there as well, as cars would get together behind all that racing, and they would, well, scatter. I think that's the best word for that. Off of the restart, Casey would still be in command. Gates right there, Normoyle and Domblewski holding on as well, and then Nick Stone would look to turn the wick up on the outside lane as Gates would make a run for the race lead on Casey, and he would take the spot away. Stone would go to the inside of the 2H of Horning in that RCT roofing machine, and then would go to the outside of Gates looking to take the race lead off the corner. He would get to the front as Stone once again looking for his second win of the season. Stone would be way out in front as Pete Broderson would make his way into the top 5 in that 53 machine as well, but it was behind Nick Stone as he picks up win number 2. Nick Stone would pick up the victory. Pete Broderson would finish in second, Kenny Gates third, Luke Horning fourth, and Jim Normoyle would round out the top 5. Back to the Albany-Saratoga Speedway. Hey, Race Pro Weekly. I know those guys. Chase Oscar would lead the 50-lap feature for the street stocks as part of the 50th anniversary season for Albany-Saratoga to the green. Josh Coonrad on the move in the 00 early as he would split both Randy Miller and Damon Anderson to get that number 2 spot, and then John Hayes would go to the top side. He would lose control of the car as he would get out of shape in the spin, and at the same time, Randy Miller shows a lot of smoke on that number 12 machine. Wouldn't be long before Coonrad would head to the outside of race leader Chase Oscar to take the lead away, and Billy Dupree, the defending champion, would go on the outside of him as well and take that number 2 spot. Coonrad would be the race leader. He'd get out of shape. That allows Dupree to get by him as Coonrad would slow down the back straightaway. That would bunch the field up again as many drivers looking to make their way up, including Hunter Sanchez in that number 23 machine. And then Frank Monroe would go up and over after the drive shaft drops out of the 01 machine. He would be okay, but what a tumble for the 01. Up in turn number 3 and 4, and that is a heavily damaged street stock. Off the restart, Chase Oscar would go back to the inside to take the race lead away from Billy Dupree, and they would be on for a battle as they would come to the white flag side by side. Oscar would have the advantage, and now coming to the checkered flag, you see Billy Dupree go to the outside of him, and Oscar just loses control of it after he catches a rut, and Billy Dupree would hang on as he would pick up the victory. A tough break after a great run by Chase Oscar. So it would be Billy Dupree grabbing the win. Damon Anderson would finish in second, Josh Coonrad third, Hunter Sanchez fourth, and Nathan DeHoda would round out the top 5. In the Sportsman, Adam Gage leads wire to wire to grab the victory. Pro Stock winner would be Rob Yetman, and Mike Coffey would grab the win in the Limited Sportsman. Heading back on the ridge as Aaron Burton and Chad Edwards would lead the field to the green in the Sportsman feature event. Edwards would take the early lead. Shea Montgomery almost goes up and over the wall in turn number 3 and 4 as he would bring out the caution. Rocky Warner having a few issues as well on the 79 machine. Off of the restart, Jim Introne going to try to make his way up to the field as Burton now goes to the inside of Edwards for the position. Brian Pesolano on the move as well, as now Burton and Edwards would continue their side-by-side battle as Burton would move to the inside, but Edwards just too strong on the outside lane. Justin Combs would duck underneath Introne as it would be the 14 of Chad Edwards picking up the victory on the opening night in the Sportsman. Chad Edwards grabs the victory. Ivan Joslin would finish in second, Brian Pesolano third, Shea Montgomery fourth, and Curtis Hohenschel would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Jamike Soul picking up the win in the 600XL Modifieds, and Cole Lawton grabbing the win in the 4 cylinders.
It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with one of Albany-Saratoga's finest, Pro Stock driver Cale Neer. Coming up, we take the white flag with a young driver forging her own path racing. And we'll give out our NISCA Performer of the Week. Don't move a muscle. Race Pro Weekly will be right back.
Make sure you check out the Thomas Racing Video booth and their website at www.thomasracingvideos.com.
Out here, seconds mean everything. That's why, in here, we work so hard to shave them. When a second matters, science matters. Mobil 1, energy lives here.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate.
Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Racing Electronics, Emmerich Associates, Tranquil Touch Healing, New England Racing Fuels and Sunoco Fuels.
Back to the Fonda Speedway, Dave Constantino way out in front in the Sportsman feature event, and he would pick up the victory, bringing one home in that number 7 car, and, yep, there's Constantino. Oh boy, here we go again.
Woo! They finished the race finally.
I don't know with this guy sometimes, but a big win for him is, yeah, we'll just go with that. Dave Constantino grabs the win. Cody Clark would finish in second, Rocky Warner third, Chad Edwards fourth, and Connor Cleveland would round out the top 5. Dave Horning Sr. would grab his third straight win in the street stocks. Nick Scavia would take home the win in the limited sportsman. And Luke Horning, as we saw before, got the win in the pro stock elimination race. Over the past few seasons, one of the rising stars on the CRSA Sprint Tour has been Emily Van Inwagen. We take a look at just how she continues to make a name for herself on the Sprint Tour.
Emily, we're in the heart of modified country, yet you race a sprint car. Why did you decide to go sprint car racing?
I saw my brother like the sprint car better, but he's still stuck with the modified. I took a year off in between slingshots and sprint cars because I really wanted to do the sprint car, but my dad told me I wasn't ready yet. So I took the year off and then I tried it and I loved it. And then I drove a sportsman a couple times at practice day and it just wasn't the same. It just felt too lazy and it was a big tank. So I like these a lot better and I like to travel. I don't like to stay at the same track every week. You learn a lot more that way, traveling different tracks and getting the same with the drive around the same people. It's like a big family. I love it.
Picked up a win at the Orange County Fair Speedway last year. How was that to win there?
It was great to be at the home track with everybody there, and not everybody gets to travel with us because we go 2 hours away, 3 hours away. So being 15 minutes from home was great, having all the fans there, and just felt more comfortable there.
You've been racing since you were 5 years old. Now, according to my sources there, when you raced when you were 5, you raced against Sage Karam, who's now racing Indy cars?
Yeah, we were in the same kid kart class together, and I'm friends with him on Facebook and Instagram, and it's just crazy to see the things he's doing and the success that he's having, and it's awesome.
You've been in a sprint car since 2011. What are your goals this season?
This season is just consistency. I would like to finish every race and maybe finish the top 5 every race. A couple more wins would be awesome, but right now we're just focusing on finishing and being consistent.
Who do you need to thank this year?
This year we have Escape RV on board with Joey Barbagallo, and he's been helping us out a lot. Gave us this trailer, and he's been great. And my mom with Johnson and Conroy, and she does so much. It's ridiculous. And Allstate is on board again this year, and have to thank them. And TR Racing Products, Matt Tanner helps us out a lot. He's working on the car and giving us parts whenever we need them. And I have to thank everybody that works on the car at the shop. We have this car now and my new car, so everybody that's involved just helps us out a lot.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week award, and with his back-to-back wins on the high banks of the Valley of Speed, it goes to the Sand Lake Slingshot Kenny Tremont. Tremont is now eligible for the NISCA Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Amber Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Matt Knowles, Scott Morlock, Bobby Chalmers, Dave D'Alessandro, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.